Hi, friends. Welcome to Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. I'm Tracy Hicks with All Things Real Estate. And today I'm excited to have Bekkah with us. Bekkah, welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm so excited to be here.
And we just had a quick discussion. She's from Minnesota, but she's in San Diego. And I totally thought she moved to San Diego. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to move your real estate business to San Diego? She's like, no, I'm just here for a week.
I wish I was moving full time.
I know, right? Well, quite the contrast because I'm sure it's a little chilly in Minnesota right now.
Definitely.
Okay, so Bekkah, tell us a little bit about yourself because I know you have another business. So we're going to talk about real estate and we're going to talk about that business. So quickly just give us a little bit of background about your real estate and where you're at in your business and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I am one of those weird children that at the age of 10 decided I wanted to be a realtor. So it really was my lifelong dream to be a realtor. My parents moved when I was 10 and I was an only child. So I was very involved in the process. And I just fell in love with it and told my parents, told everyone I wanted to be a realtor. And I ended up going to college thinking I was going to do something else, like going for occupational therapy, actually. And
Wow.
some crazy thing happened there where I didn't get into the master's program, not because of whatever stuff that I had up with school, but
Yeah.
it was this weird thing. I filled out the wrong form. It was such a
Random.
divine intervention because then I was like, okay, I'm quitting school because why do I need to go to school? This whole thing just what I thought at the time derailed my life.
Right.
And then I decided, you know what? I'm finally going to get my license. So I got my license at 21. And my parents were like, why? Like, we knew you were going to do this all along. Why did you wait so long? So I've been a full-time realtor since 21. I did go back to school and finish out a degree in communications and psychology. But yeah, I've been a full-time realtor since 21 and I started on a team as a buyer's agent.
Okay.
I learned a lot on the team and had an interesting time on the team as well. So about 2.5 to 3 years after the team, I went out on my own and totally just tried to figure it out on my own. And now I'm going on 9 years in the business. And so throughout that time, over the last couple of years, I've found some awesome success that I see is outside of the real estate industry, of what the real estate industry usually talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So I started Commission Queen, which is my coaching and courses business.
That's so cool. I love that. And so we talked a little bit about that prior and I was like, okay, wait. I always end up doing this. I'm like, save that for the podcast because they're true entrepreneurs, whether they knew it or not. And usually they want to do something else. Or sometimes it's also just because people always say, spend that time in your business. Like, don't try to do a second gig or whatever. But I think that it's really hard for realtors to do just one thing. And so a lot of times they're looking for, other ways to do that. And obviously staying within the real estate realm is the best way to go. So I definitely want to talk about that, but I want to back up because you said that you started on a team. And I think that that happens a lot, because you're new in the business and it's the best way to learn or you end up assisting someone. That's what I did. I assisted someone and there were pros and cons for sure. Like I was a single mom and I had little kids and I was like, I need to feed them. So I need a paycheck. And so it worked out
Right.
great that way. Plus you learn the business. But then the con was that I definitely didn't work on my own business. I was working on somebody else's business. And then you get kind of hooked on having that, money coming in because they've been a realtor for so long. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about what your experience was on the team and what made you kind of decide to shift and how did that transition go?
Yeah. So the team, absolutely. I will always say I'm so grateful for it because I learned so much.
Right.
And also it wasn't ever going to be a forever thing for me. At In the beginning I thought, yeah, I could be on the team forever, and found out my personality just didn't work that way. And I
Yep.
think for a lot of realtors that's the case, because you get into real estate because you want to do your own thing, right?
Yes,
You want to
exactly. You don't
have
want
that
anybody
freedom.
telling you what to do.
Yeah, you want to be your own boss.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed learning it. And, the team gave me all of the business. But at the same time, that meant they owned me in a way.
Right.
They owned my time and, what I was doing and my schedule. Even though I was trying to do my own thing, they were like, you need to get on a schedule. And
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
so I started traveling and just totally fell in love with traveling. And the team did not like that. They were all about, like, you got to be in the office 9 to 5. And then, yeah, of course, you've got to do showings 5 to 9, and you've got to do
Right.
open houses and showings on the weekends. So there was like no freedom. I was super overwhelmed and just kind of felt burnt out because, especially that time in the office, I didn't see that that was productive. It was
Right.
just like showing my face,
Yeah.
but I wasn't being super productive in that time. But they felt better that I was in the office, even though, my production was the same whether I was in the office or out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I started traveling, and the team did not like that. So I actually ended up getting, we'll say, let go. I got fired.
You got fired.
And it was the best day of my life. I
Yep.
will forever remember, because I was so excited. I
Yeah.
knew that it was I think it was actually like Memorial Day or something. So nobody was in the office, and they asked me to come into the office to talk for a meeting. And I was like, this is it. They're going to fire me. And I was so excited because I should have left myself a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Totally.
And I just didn't. And I was so excited that they said, I don't think that this is working out. And I said, you know what? You're right. Thank
Right.
you. Like,
Yep.
I'm free.
Exactly. Yes.
But then the problem with that is I had no idea how to get business on my own. So I was so excited. But then I wasn't getting business anymore. The team really did
Right.
provide me with those leads. So I knew how to do the deals, but I didn't know how to get the business. So that was kind of the next hurdle to get over.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, even real estate changes so much that 10 years doesn't seem that long ago, but in real estate years, that's like eons, because
Yeah.
we weren't anywhere near, where we're at now with social media. I was watching something last night on Netflix. It was so stupid. It was like one of those kids that got famous on Instagram for just taking selfies, basically. And he was like, this was, I think the Netflix show was in 2016, and he was saying that it was 6 years ago. I had to look it up, and I was like, when did Instagram start? And Instagram's been around for like 11 years now.
Yeah.
But it took a good 3 or 4 years for people to get on it. And then, like, another year later for realtors to realize, oh, I need this in my
How
business.
to
And so
use
social
it.
media wasn't
Yep.
anywhere near what it was. So what did you do? So what was your first, like, do you remember like coming out of the team and going on your own? What was the first thing that you were like, I got to do this to start my business up?
So I listened to a ton of podcasts. I watched all the YouTube videos, read all the books, went to all the meetings in my office, listened to my office. And I started doing all of the things that they said that you should do. And that's one mistake because you really shouldn't do all the things, right?
Right.
But you just think, okay, well, this worked for this person, so I'm going to try that, and this worked for this person, and I'm going to try that.
Yep.
So I kept trying so many things, and one, I probably wasn't doing any of them consistently. I probably wasn't doing them, really focused.
Yeah.
And I tried cold calling, door knocking, buying leads. I mean, you name it, like writing letters to sellers. I did everything. And I honestly hated it doing all of those things. So there was just like this
Right.
really weird energy around doing those things as well. So I would either not be consistent, or I would avoid it, or when I was doing it, I wasn't feeling good about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was an interesting time. There was about a year that I just really struggled through trying to get business and, doing just very, very few deals that year and feeling
Yeah.
like I might have to get another job. Like, am I going to have to get a part time job? Am I going to have to just go and get a regular 9 to 5 job, which, of course, for realtors is horrible. The
Right.
idea of that.
Nightmare.
So yeah, that was a tough time.
Did you stay with the brokerage that you were on the team with, or did you change brokerages as well?
I actually stayed with the same brokerage because I really liked
Okay.
the brokerage, and the team was there, but it was big office. So, and there was like no ill feelings or
Yeah.
whatever towards them either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I stayed with that same brokerage for that full year that I was really struggling. And even a little bit afterwards, I only switched brokerages probably about 2.5 years ago. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah.
And where are you at now?
Realty One Group.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do you like them?
Oh my goodness, I
Obviously.
love them. Yes, yeah. I
That's
was with
awesome.
I was with Keller Williams the longest.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So I know that this is something that people are always curious about. And there's always, every realtor goes through a brokerage transition at least once in their career, most likely. What was it that were you looking for anything in particular when you were looking for a new brokerage? Or were you just like, I just need change and kind of interview? Like, how did that go for you?
Yeah, it was a combination. I wanted change to be with different people, different atmosphere and
Yeah.
everything. And I also, the split, of course, was a
Hmm.
big deal. And I want to, I was looking towards my best interest. How can I get the most profit with the work that I'm doing? So if I'm
Yeah.
doing a lot of this work and everything, and if I go to a different company that has a better split, you're automatically making more profit. And also, I
Yeah.
was looking for a company that was just really forward thinking, really hip. And that's one thing I love Realty One Group's branding
Yeah.
and the way that they structure their commission splits, and just the overall culture is awesome.
Yeah, that I love hearing that and it's pretty consistent. I think most realtors know that and think that, but when it comes time to change, I think that all that goes out the window. They just are kind of like, they don't know, or they're hyper focused on one certain thing that they're looking for. And I think that company culture is definitely, I feel like it's been a buzzword over the last few years, but it's always been there. It's just never really been named
Right.
as company culture, quote unquote. So I think that is a big deal. And the people that you're around, and the people that you want to be around, people that, just like you said, are forward thinking, that are like-minded like you. Obviously, it's like finding your little mini family and
Yeah,
your tribe. And that's
definitely.
how you run your business as well. You want to work with the clients that are like you. And just like you said, you tried all the things and it wasn't working because it was all stuff that you didn't like. So you weren't, you were just going with it. It was probably, mundane, like, oh, here I got to drop, even if you door knocked and somebody was interested, you'd probably be surprised.
Yes,
And, your
exactly.
demeanor and just, the whole what you put out in the universe thing as well.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
okay. So I definitely wanted, so let's talk about your transition now into your new business. But I want to hear about how you kind of decided to start commission queen, and then also how you're working your real estate business and how that's going for like both sides of it.
Yeah, so I started Commission Queen. It'll be a little over a year now. And the reason I did it is because, like I said, when I started off the team and was figuring out what to do and really struggled, I was doing all the things that the masses were telling me, and
Yeah.
that the real estate industry as a whole really pushes. And then when I finally got rid of, like, okay, I don't need to listen to all of that stuff. I need to figure out what am I good at? What do I like to do? What would make real estate really fun for me? And when
Yep.
I started doing those things, it was like instantly my business changed. When I
Yeah.
started saying no to clients, just anybody, and trying to just like do showings for anybody, when I started saying
Yep.
no to those people and only saying yes to my ideal clients, it was amazing. Like your ideal clients start to come in. So, all of these different things, along with like the whole manifesting and law of attraction and mindset and money mindset, I had been studying for years. I mean, in high school, it was something I was always really interested in and just studied all the time. So I finally put the two together and said, okay, what if I could just connect those and actually use it towards, my business and not just, my mindset and other things. So I did that and found huge success where I was working way less than I ever did before, having, business and clients come to me with such ease and just loving my business again and traveling and all of these things. So I started getting a lot of questions from people like, hey, I see that you're always in a different country and you're also on the top leaderboard. How is this possible?
Yep.
And so I just kind of started doing coaching and mentoring and different things in a local, like on a local scale. And I decided I need to share this with everybody. I mean, as many people as I can share it with, I want to share because there are so many good realtors out there that
Yep.
are struggling just because they are trying to do, cold calling or door knocking, which maybe they're not good at, and that's okay. Some people, they're awesome at that, and I love that for them.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
for me, it wasn't the case. And so I just want to really support and get like I want to get the good clients and I want to get good money into good people's hands
Yeah.
because that is what I want to see in the business. Like there are so many agents out there, and this is not saying that all of people that do this, but there's so many agents that are really good at just hitting the numbers and getting the numbers and getting the clients. And those people don't always care about, all of those people don't always care about the clients in such a way that these people that are struggling could seriously, care and serve their clients and, they love it. And so that's what I just wanted to help. If I can help in any way those people succeed and find success in their real estate business and find an amazing balance in their life so they can do more of what they love and
Yep.
have what they have always dreamed about, then yeah, then that's what makes me happy. So I love real estate. I'm still doing real estate, and I have also found this great passion for sharing all of what I know with
Yep.
other realtors as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny too, a couple things what you just said, like the door I feel like we always when we talk about stuff that, you know, the old school way and what they used to do and like floor time, but really it's like the cold calling and the door knocking. I I wonder if people that are really good at those things are really bad at some of the other things, but are still trying to do those things, even though they're really good at the cold calling or the door
Hmm.
knocking.
Right.
So I think that it doesn't matter what it is. It exactly what you just said. It matters what works for you, and you're only going to do the stuff that you like to do, right?
Yes,
I mean, you might
exactly.
but then the stuff that you don't want like to do or feel like you have to do, it's just on your to-do list all the time.
Hmm.
Like, so you just feel like it's something that is unfinished that you still have to get done. And so it just causes more workload in your brain.
Right.
And then you're not doing the stuff that you love to do to the best of your ability. So I think just honing in on that. And the thing about coaching, and I've never done coaching. It's never been kind of in my wheelhouse. And a couple years ago, I did a money coach because I really needed it because I have a problem with my relationship with money. And it wasn't until I did that I realized that there's stuff that it's all stuff that you know, you just need somebody to tell you that you know it. And then
Yes.
you don't know what you don't know, but also, and whenever people do coaching, they're like, so I just paid somebody to tell me exactly what I already knew. But it's necessary because you're not
Totally.
obviously paying attention to it, or you're not implementing it in your business, or you just need, it's just like a therapist, you just need to talk it out, or it's just like you just need another opinion about it, and just somebody to help you guide you through that because they're not in the thick of it like you are,
Right.
so they see it differently.
And for me, and this is what I do with my clients a lot. And for me, I am somebody who always has a coach. I think it's so important. It's completely changed my business and my life and everything.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is the number one thing is I need a coach. And also, I help my clients do this too, to tell me it doesn't have to be as hard as you're trying to make it. Like,
Exactly.
so often we're trying to make things difficult or be like, it can't be this easy, but most of the time it can. And it's just,
Yeah.
allowing yourself to trust that, whatever is going to happen or whatever you're desiring to happen will happen.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I forget the word. I always forget this word, the fraud syndrome or whatever. I think that realtors a lot of times feel like,
Imposter
because
syndrome.
yeah, yes, yes, imposter syndrome. I think a lot of times they just feel like they can't do it, even though they're probably doing it without knowing, kind of how they want their business to go. But honing in on that and like actually pinpointing that and
Hmm.
realizing it, it's kind of like, gives you that navigation through your business. And I think that's why I utilize coaches in a different way. I have different people in my life for different things in my business. So I have a a business consultant, and that's like the money stuff. And then I have the people that I just kind of go to for questions. They're in like the print business or in the e-commerce business. But I always have one person once a year where I pay them and I deep dive in my own everything, because your personal life and your business life in real estate, let's just be real, it does mesh.
Totally.
It just does, because it's just like you said earlier, you want to work less, obviously, because of your personal life, and you don't want to overwork yourself. And so I think that just having that person to talk to, and guide you through it. I love the monthly stuff. I think that I look forward to it, and I feel like it takes some of the pressure off of your business as well, because you're going to have this meeting and you can get stuff off your chest or whatever the case may be. So tell us a little bit about Commission Queen and kind of how you've structured that business and what that looks like for somebody that may want to hire you.
Yeah, so Commission Queen is mainly all online or virtual meetings, so which has been helpful with COVID.
Right.
And
The Zoom era.
yeah, I have a couple of courses that really go through digital courses that go through the process that I went through in changing those beliefs and understanding money and your relationship with money, just like you said. And also talking about the strategy of things too. How can we really focus on the activities that align with us to do those and to do it in a way that's really effective and productive so that you're able to lessen your time working and really receive those clients. So I do that along with group coaching and personal coaching as well.
Cool. So where are you doing your group coaching at? Like, how does that work?
So the group coaching goes along with one of my biggest courses. It's called Six Figure Agent Academy. And that is a 7 week group coaching experience. So every single week you have a module that you're going through and learning on your own time. And then every week we get together and discuss what that's like and where everybody is individually, and it's an awesome experience. I love the group coaching, especially because people can bounce ideas off of each other and
Yeah,
understand, okay, I'm not the only one who is struggling with this. And yeah, I love the group coaching experience.
that's so cool. So, and then So do they get group coaching with your one-on-one, or is it two separate things, or how does that work?
So with one-on-one coaching, it's just me and the client. So that is anywhere from a 6-week package to like a year-long package, depending on what they're looking for. If they're needing, I just need to figure out how can I get to the next step in my business and something that's a little bit more succinct, or
Yeah.
if they're looking for greater support through the entire year.
Okay, cool. So now we got to loop back around
Yeah.
because now I need to know what is going on with your real estate business while you're doing Commission Queen.
Yeah, so this year I'm finally like lessening my real estate and really going all in and focusing on Commission Queen because that's where my passion has led me. And of course,
Yep.
I always love real estate as the
Yep.
10-year-old little girl in me. I always
Can't
love,
leave it
yes,
ever.
no. So I love real estate. And last year was really cool because in the middle of a pandemic, just crazy, crazy stuff going on. And
Right.
I was still able to grow my business. And I've worked less than I have ever worked before. So I don't even know if I worked 10 hours a week. It was probably 5 to 10 hours a week on average. And the year before that, I doubled my business with working like 20 hours or less a week. And I usually travel 100 plus days out of the year. Last year, I didn't get to do that.
That had
But
to be hard.
yes, yeah, but it was really cool to see that all the things that I teach, I really, really do. I really, walk that walk. And
Yeah.
it was cool because I work 100% referral based, and I focus on, my couple of things that I do, and I don't overcomplicate it. I don't try to do all of the things. And another thing that's important is I don't try to fill my time. I'm not trying to fill my time just to be busy.
Yeah.
Here are the things that I do. Here are what I call my money making activities. I don't like to call it lead generating because I think there's such a negative, like, feeling
Yep.
energy around that.
Totally.
So
I
I
like that.
call my things my money making activities, and I have those set things that take up only a couple hours of my time, and it just brings in business on a consistent basis.
Nice. Okay, so do you have a business partner on your real estate stuff, or are you still just doing that yourself?
It's all me because I didn't really have that great of an experience on the team, like I said. And just
Yeah.
I know my personality. I'm not looking to like have any attachments business wise because
Yeah.
I just really love to do my own thing, especially with traveling and all of that. I don't want to be managing people. So I do everything solo. However, I'm a huge believer in delegating. So, I
Mhm.
mean, the amount of stuff that I delegate is so high. So I have I have a virtual assistant, and I have people that are my showing assistants, and I have, transaction coordinator. So I I do a lot because I have all this help with delegating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, you have a team that isn't your team, and I think that that's kind of the first time I've probably heard that type of you hear that kind of structure, but it's usually you're responsible for them. So, I love that you're because there's other realtors usually in your office that, that will help you. Like if you're out of town,
absolutely.
obviously, and you
Mhm.
have somebody that's like, I have to see this house today, but you have the same people. So they're kind of partners without being partners.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
It's a referral business.
Yes, so I talk to them ahead of time. We have like a whole thing worked out of what does each showing cost, and I'll tell them like, okay, here are the dates I'm going out of town. Here are the people that are potentially going to reach out to. So yeah, I look at them as they are my partners, but it's not like I have to manage them or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's really as needed. And I love those people. I'm so, so grateful for those people. And
Yeah.
a lot of them are, my friends in the office and new agents that have come into the office that I, have found to be awesome that I would
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
work with in that way. So, yeah, I've never had any problems with it. I mean, it's been amazing. And I love having that structure because there's so much freedom in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so do you pay them, so you don't pay them a percentage of the commission, you pay them for the showings themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And you know what that also kind of reminds me of is all realtors have a team. You have your lender, your home inspector, your plumber, or your contractor. It's almost like adding that person to that type of team.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll let my clients know, of course,
Yeah.
and say, like, I'll tell them I'll be out of town, or if I'm ever unavailable or whatever it is, then I have my set people that will be able to show you, and I'll be able to like give their names and all of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's been flawless.
I love that. And I'm sure that all of that stuff, and that's what I love about coaches that are realtors or have been, because you do get people that are coaches that have never done real estate
Right.
and that is
Yeah.
fine too.
Yep.
There's someone for everyone.
Yep.
But I really like it, just like you said, you walk the walk. And I think that, that really does lend to your consulting business because
Mhm.
you're a walking case study.
Right.
You can prove that it actually does work, or and maybe not that structure per se, but just the fact that you put your mind to something and you wanted your business to be structured a certain way and you made that happen. And I think that realtors, especially new ones, or people that are trying to refresh their business, they need to see that. They need to see that it actually does work, because that's always the scary part is, okay, if I make this jump. And so a lot of times they just either won't jump, or they'll talk about it for 5 years
Right.
and, then finally do it. And they're like, why didn't I do that 4 years ago?
Yes, exactly.
And so I think that that really does help, where people can actually see, oh, I can do that. And it does work. And just trying it, and failure, obviously failure is a big thing in business. You learn from your mistakes, but in real estate, you have to, obviously you're dealing with people's
Oh,
lives
right.
and really big transitions. So you don't ever really want to say that in real estate. But when you're talking about your business and making business decisions for your business, that's more of what I'm talking about when you're talking about, it's okay to make mistakes that way and figure out. It might take you a while to get there, but figuring that part out is 9/10 of the battle. I I believe 100%.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so when you travel, like obviously before the pandemic or whatever, what is your, because I talk to a lot of realtors that actually do really love to travel, and people think that they're like an anomaly. Like, how do you do that? And everybody knows once you go out of town, that's when all the business comes or whatever,
Yes.
right? So what is kind of, how do you plan out your year, or how, and we'll talk before COVID, because obviously everything's, changed or whatever. But before, how were you structuring that, or how were you working that in your work life, and well, just in your life, I guess.
Yeah, so really, I was traveling every month, if not like multiple times per month, sometimes out of the country. So you're dealing with an entirely different time zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's very common. So, just what you said, yes, realtors believe that when you go out of town, that's when something starts to happen in your business, or you get
Yep.
business, or finally you get
Yep.
the deals or whatever. And what's so funny is realtors have stopped themselves from going out of town because they're afraid of that happening. And
Yeah.
so
Yep.
I switched it in my head and into my beliefs that the more that I travel, the more money I make, the more clients that come to me. So I know that every time I travel, I'm going to get business deals. I'm going to,
Yes.
I'm going to get things under contract.
Yep.
And that's my belief system. And I know that I just have a team in a way, in a sense, obviously not my actual team,
Yeah.
but I have people and I have a system in place to take care of that while I'm gone. So I'm still on
Yeah.
the phone. I'm still, in my emails and whatever
Yeah.
while I'm traveling, but it's not very often. It's when needed.
Yeah.
And I am kind of monitoring everything, but then I have people back in the home base that are taking care of offers if they need to be written, or showings, or talking to sellers or whatever it is. So that's been really really fun, because yes, when you travel, when you go out of town, things do happen, but
Yep.
use that to your advantage. So that's why I keep going
Yeah.
out of town.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So, also too, you talked a little bit about it's about the structure and about how you structure your business, which then turns into the foundation of your business. And then you can go to the next. I always equate it to building a house. You obviously have to have the foundation, and then you put your first floor in, all the main things that need to be in there, the kitchen, the bath, the garage, blah blah blah. And then you can kind of keep building up and adding things into your business once you've got that structure kind of, you know where you feel good about it, where it's like a solid foundation. So how long did it take you to kind of feel good about where your business was and where you could travel and feel okay about your clients being taken care of? Because that's always the number one thing that people worry about.
absolutely. Yeah. So I did it in a little bit of a backwards way, kind of learning as I go.
Yep.
So
Yep.
in that year that I was really struggling, and I just had lost my joy in my business and all of that. I had a coach, and I hired a coach, and she said, "You need to just enjoy yourself. You're doing all of the things, but you are just getting so stuck in it that nothing is happening. So
Yeah.
the business isn't coming because you're just like stuck and you're only seeing that nothing is happening. So that kind of
Yeah.
perpetuates that cycle." So she said, "You need to just do stuff that you enjoy." So I went on a trip, and instantly, like, I came back from that trip, it was a cruise. So I had to totally shut off my phone. And thankfully, in a way, I didn't have any business then. So I literally
Right.
could shut off my phone because I had
Yeah.
no clients. I had nothing in the pipeline. It was like, whatever. I'm just going to shut off my phone. So I get back from the cruise, and I turn on my phone, and I had like instantly two people reach out about business. Like,
Yep.
can I list with you and can I buy with you? And I was like, wow, okay, there's something to this. So
Right.
then I had to figure out, kind of as I went, how to, how to use a transaction coordinator, or what am I going to do when I'm gone. And thankfully, I had a friend in the office, and we just kind of talked about, hey, if you go out of town, I'll take care of your clients. And if I go
Yep.
out of town, can you take care of my clients? And it was, that was the first thing. So before I could afford to hire all of these different people, it was really just a mutual thing. Like, if I go to town, can you take care of my clients? Yes, okay, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So that was
Yeah.
really the start of it. And then from there, I just kind of figured out how to add into my team when I was able to afford to hire different people and pay for the showings and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's just about eh, reaching out to certain people, or like having those conversations and seeing what happens. And normally, I think realtors, and you probably, just like you said, you had a friend in the office. I think that they will often have people that they'll have in mind. Like whenever I talk to a realtor and they talk about something they want to do, they'll be like, well, I have somebody in mind. I just haven't like talked to them or asked them yet. I'm like, do that now. Like put it
Definitely.
out there now, because you never know what's going on with that person. You could align perfectly or you could not align. And then you're wasting this time thinking that that person's, going to be the one or whatever. And then it turns out that that's not going to work out that way. So I think that a lot of times, again, it goes back to that risk taking. And I think realtors for the most part are risk takers.
Yeah.
And, but then they know that. And I think sometimes it scares them like, oh, I can't risk too much, or I don't, or I'm too much of a risk taker. So you pull back. So there is definitely a balance there. And you just kind of have to find that within yourself. And I love that your story is a perfect example of that, to where you're like, sometimes you got to jump in and then float back up to the top and like,
Yep.
okay, I know I can jump and I just have to figure it out. So you're totally a walking example of that. I love that for you. I think
Thank
it's
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
And I think a lot more realtors can. I hear I hear it a lot, trying to work less. And I actually, Ross, he was on our podcast prior to yours, and he created a CRM. And it's so funny because we talk about like-minded people and tribes, and like you have your people. I apparently tend to, I do the same thing even with the podcast. Like I tend to gravitate towards people that have done other businesses just like me. I was a realtor for 15 years and I decided to start the store. And so anyway, I digress. But Ross, he created a CRM, and he created it for himself so that he could work less and have more time with his family. And so even though that does take up a lot of time to, build it out and all that good stuff, it's to the point now. Actually, when I talked to him, I hadn't talked to him in probably 6 months. And he was working by himself doing the CRM, and now he has a team of like 5. I'm like,
Awesome.
dude, where did that come from? And he was like, I was scared to take the jump. For years, I was like, no, I don't want a team. And he's like, the second I did it, all this business just literally came rushing our way. I mean, it was like, he's like, it was so ridiculous. It was such a cliche that it actually happened. But again, just taking that risk and making that jump is just do it, people.
Yeah, just do it. You'll be glad that you did it, earlier rather than waiting, because you'll never
Yep.
be ready. If you're waiting to feel ready,
And
you'll
you
never
can't
be
get that
ready.
time back,
Hmm.
and obviously right now with the pandemic and people's minds are different and changing, and priorities, and time with your family is becoming more important, and people are working from home, so
Hmm.
maybe it's the opposite where they're like, I got to get out of here. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back to the office. But it definitely gives you a different perspective that we've never had before, right? We've never been through anything like this. So now is the perfect time to hone in on all those thoughts and ideas and things that have been going through your head, and figuring out, now that you've seen another side of it, like what could you structure your business to look like, and think about that instead of the day-to-day stuff. And I have a showing
Absolutely.
at 4 o'clock, and I
Right.
have that kind of thing.
And that's part of the reason with Commission Queen, I wish I would have started it, several years ago when I did start having this success. And so many people told me, like, you gotta share this with more people, you gotta start a business and write a book and all of these things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, like, I don't know if anybody's gonna be interested. And
Yep. Everybody thinks that.
and I'm just so grateful for all of the people that, tell me, like, this is what's changed their business and changed their lives. And it's so cool to have that happen. And so the reason I finally started to do it as well is because I got to this point in my business where I had honestly so much free time that
Right.
I just needed another passion, and man, it's been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Did you write a book, or are you going to?
So I'm actually, you're the first person to know. I
Hey.
am writing a book, and that's going to be coming out probably in a couple months from now. I did just release a journal on Amazon that's a daily manifestation journal. So it's what I
Yay.
do every single day, and it's the outline I use. It's been amazing. And so it's finally in, a book journal form. So
Yeah,
everything is
yeah.
there. You just kind of fill it out.
Love that. We'll have
Yeah.
to talk about that later. We'll have to get it in the store.
Yes, awesome.
And I love that you're writing a book, because I think that, well, people think, I don't know, back in the day, it was like, write a book. Like, that's crazy. and now more and more people are doing it, and it's just showing kind of our, progression as people and making those jumps and actually doing something that you wouldn't normally think you could do. But I actually went to a thing in Portland. Dang, what was his name? Jack, that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul
Yes,
books.
I love him.
Yeah.
Canfield.
Where
Jack
did he go?
Canfield.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He did one of those like conference things where it seemed like a scam or whatever, but it wasn't. It was him, and he was like, if you're ever thinking about writing a book, like, and he would help you. And obviously he was pitching his business, like
Mhm.
if you went with not a coaching thing, program, I don't know if that's the best word for it, but you go with this program. He was like, you have to think about it. If you're ever writing your list of titles of who you are, author is always going to be first because of
Awesome.
A.
Mhm.
So, he was like, there was something, and obviously he's a writer. And so he writes books. And so it seemed easy to him. But I was like, seems so far away. But now I love seeing all of our realtor friends writing books and because you guys it, you're
Yeah.
doing it. It's just like, just write it down and it'll help other people. And I think that too is what a lot of us who have started other businesses, we do it because we want to better the business. We want to see realtors be successful, and new agents that are coming in that literally have no clue, because obviously school does none of the real life stuff of what
Right. Right.
what it really entails. And so I think we all feel a little bit responsible for our own community and to try to help them. And that is definitely a common thread in everybody that we talk to, and our customers who have done other businesses and coaching and things like that, just like you. So I
Yeah,
love
I'm
that.
so excited for the book to just, again, to share it with as many
Yes.
people as possible, because all the books, again, that I was reading were telling me about the hustle and telling me about,
Ugh,
do all of these things. And so I really want to focus on sharing that, okay, the hustle is not required, and
mhm.
figuring out what money making activities to do, and just really
Yes.
understanding money too. Once I understood my relationship with money, and also the
Mhm.
fact that perception is not reality in a way, because when I became a top producer, I went to a top producer like meeting mastermind or something,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I was absolutely shocked with all of these people. I thought, wow, they're making so much money. They've got like the bags, they've got the cars, and they are doing huge deals. So, I felt like a little, like a little guy
Fish.
in the whole thing,
Yep.
because
Yep.
I wasn't making quite as much money as them at the time, and or wasn't doing as many deals as them at the time, but I was invited to this meeting, and I was so shocked at what was being talked about in the meeting. Talking about just scarcity galore, talking about like how they haven't paid their taxes and back taxes, which I didn't even know
Ugh.
what that was. And talking about credit card debt and living
Ugh.
closing to closing. And
Yeah.
it was such a wake up call to me, like, okay, I really want to share with people, one, just how to view money, how to use your money, and also that just because somebody's doing more deals than you or bigger deals than you, that doesn't always mean that they're making more money or
More
more
money.
profit after
Yeah.
expenses and all of that. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm so excited to share that with everybody.
Yeah, it's true. And I definitely think that money coaching always needs to be a part of the structure of your real estate business. I know that for me, what the main thing I took away from my money coach stuff was that my relationship with money was that we were feast or famine. I grew up in the restaurant business, and we moved all the time. And then my dad became a realtor, which absolutely had no bearing on why I became a realtor, because I was like, I'm never gonna live check to check. Like, I
Mhm.
will always have a 9 to 5 job. I mean, that's how I grew up. And then here I am, I become a realtor and I'm doing the same thing. And what I learned was, what that taught me was that it wasn't about the money, it was about the chase. I was getting a
Mm,
high. It was almost like an addiction and gambling, you know? It was like, "Oh, I have this much money and I can do this much with it and I'll make this much more later. Also, I'll spend that, put my bank account back to zero, and then I have to make this much money." It was always about the
right.
chase. And so, and she was like, "That's okay, because that's who you are. But up your game, like make the chase about how much savings you have in your savings
Yes.
account." And I was like, and it's literally, find myself, because I have to check our accounts all the time anyway, just because we are shuffling money and it's in my DNA. I can't help it. It just who I am. So I had to embrace that part of it. But now I'm always checking for my savings account. I don't like dipping into it. I see it all the time. And so I'm like, I'm trying to grow that. So now
Yeah.
that's my hustle, is like totally opposite of what it was before. And I realized, and I also know a lot more about myself with that. So it's like, okay, if my rent is $2,000 a month, then I know I have to make, whatever to cover that. Well, what if my rent is $3,000 a month, And it's like,
Yeah,
oh, I can do that too. Okay, what if it's $5,000 a month? It's like, oh, I can do that too. It's just setting the bar for yourself, but you have to know that about yourself. And
definitely.
I got to that in a really weird kind of, how coaches do. It's like, how did I figure that out? It was so bizarre, but it was one of the coolest things that ever happened. So,
Awesome.
and it changed my business, like, for sure.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing that for other realtors. And I think it's needed in this business. I think it needs to be talked about more. Just like you said, when you went to that meeting, we don't talk about money enough. And, it is uncomfortable for some people, but if you're just putting your head in the sand, that's not helping you at all.
Yeah, I love talking about money and that just kind of changing that idea that it's rude or bad or embarrassing or whatever people think
Yeah.
about talking about money. I think it's so important
Yeah.
because it really, once it's out in the open and you can talk about it, once you're free to talk about it, you can
Yes.
finally learn from it. You can learn from yourself, you can learn from others, and allow yourself to be inspired by others, or learn, or whatever it is.
Yep.
So yeah, the whole money piece is huge.
It is. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Becca. Well, I'm going to let you get back to your vacation in San Diego, which I'm super jealous. We're in Portland, and well, I think it's sunny right now, but there was a thunderstorm about an hour ago. So it could change at any given moment.
Yes.
So tell us where we can find you both. I want to hear about the Commission Queen, and we'll have all the links and stuff in there too, but also in your real estate business. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm at Commission Queen pretty much everywhere, and commissionqueen.com is my website.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I got a lot out of this conversation. I'm sure
Thank you
that
so much.
other people will too. So thanks for taking the
Awesome. It was
time.
so fun. Thank you, Tracy.
Yes. Thank you.